Welcome to the show today. We're talking about college football as a whole. And if you're watching this on my Clemson channel, I want to let you know that this is actually on my another college football podcast channel. And I'm just secondarily, if that's a word, simulcasting to my Clemson channel because I want you to see what I'm doing over on my college football show where I'm talking about college football as a whole. Folks, this is the calm before the storm. What do I mean by that? There's some a lot of cupcake games going on right now, but next week and in the following weeks, we're really getting to the meat and potatoes of college football, and we're going to figure out who's who, who's posers, and who's been hanging on, making people think, oh yeah, they're still a contender, and they're not. We're going to get into that in just a second. Hey, thanks for joining me on the channel. If you love college football and you're on another college football podcast channel, I hope you're going to subscribe. If you're watching me on my Clemson channel, I want you to go over to another college football podcast. In fact, I'm going to drop those details here into the chat in just a moment. And go over there and subscribe because I'm talking about college football. And you're like, why? Okay, I just care about Clemson. Why? Let me tell you this. If you go and you take a look at other college football teams, you're going to figure out who's who, who's posers, and exactly where we're at in the whole college football scheme of things. So I do appreciate it. Now, this weekend, tomorrow, college football, we really don't have anything that's just like blowing us away. We have Auburn at Oklahoma. That's an interesting game. Of course, that's an SEC matchup. I'm still having to get that set up in my head. This is an SEC matchup. But both teams with their new head coaches, they haven't done that well. So you have Hugh Freeze, who everybody, including myself, I thought that he would do very well at Auburn. I know he's just in year 3, but it's been pretty underwhelming, right? Then you have Brent Venables, a hallowed figure, if you want to say that, in the Clemson community. And this guy has been struggling. Now, he took over a very bad situation. He took over a bad situation, a team that had been depleted of a lot of its talent, and he's had to rebuild from that point. And so we go into this game tomorrow with Auburn and Oklahoma, 3:30 on ABC. By the way, a few years ago, and for the past 25-something years, that would have been on CBS. That would have been the 3:30 game. That would have been fun. I can still hear Vern laughing, Gary Danielson making a snarky comment, and of course, Nessler was running things over the last few years. But right now, Oklahoma is a 7.5-point favorite in Norman. And the key here for me is, will John Mateer continue to be dominant? This guy in 3 games has thrown for 944 yards, 5 touchdowns. He has thrown for 3 interceptions. Okay. I'm not going to take away from that. And I'm not anointing this guy as the second coming, but I would tell you this: out of all the major quarterbacks who was supposed to be amazing this season, John Mateer was mentioned just because he transferred in out of Washington State. I don't know what it is with Washington State and all these really good quarterbacks they have. And they leave and they transfer somewhere else and they do incredible. Cam Ward going to Miami last year won the flipping Heisman, no, he didn't win the flipping Heisman Trophy. What am I thinking? But he was the number 1 overall draft pick. Sorry, coffee's still kicking in. Now you have John Mateer leaving Washington State, going to Oklahoma, and now he's putting up these crazy numbers. DJ Lagway struggled. Cade Klubnik has struggled. A lot of people are not blown away by Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, we could sit and just keep going through the list of people who really hasn't lived up to any of the preseason, as usual, hype. John Mateer pretty much has. So coming into this game, will he live up to the hype? That's 1. 2, Will a Brent Venables defense shut down his former quarterback, Jackson Arnold? Yes, one of the top recruits coming out of a high school a few years ago. He was at Oklahoma last year. They had a lot of high hopes for this young man, and I don't even think he made it to the halfway mark in the season. They benched him. They put someone else in. He transferred. And so if you're looking at this game and you're trying to be as neutral and unbiased and trying to figure out who's who. I mean, Jackson Arnold's thrown for 501 yards and 4 touchdowns. They're both 3-0. But for me, it is easier for me to buy into Oklahoma than it is for me to buy into Auburn. Let's talk about who Auburn's played up into this point. Now, they started off the season with a win against Baylor, a team preseason picked to win the Big 12 by Phil Steele. A lot of people had high hopes for Baylor. We'll see. They won by 14 there, and since then they've played no one. They beat Ball State 42-3. They played South Alabama this past Saturday. They only won 31-15. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know all the details about that game and how that went down. I don't know if they pulled Jackson Arnold, but South Alabama, I'm sorry, you should have beat them worse than that. Let's go over to Oklahoma. They started off the season with a cupcake. I'm totally fine with that since we don't have a preseason like the NFL. They beat the crap out of Illinois State. Then they beat Michigan 24-13. And this past Saturday, they went to Temple and beat them 42-3. Now, I think both of these teams are overranked. Right now, Auburn's number 22, Oklahoma's number 11. Tell you straight up, I think they're both overranked. Even Auburn at 22. Pushing it, put them at number 25. I don't think that they've done anything to deserve to be in the top 25 at this point. Oklahoma being at number 11, I think they're probably more of a number 20 until they prove otherwise. Now, why could they be ranked so high? Well, I don't know. In 2 weeks, they're going to play Texas. And that I say 2 weeks, it's in 3 weeks. They'll play Texas. And the higher they're ranked and the higher that Texas is ranked, the bigger the Red River rivalry will be on paper and in the media, and we can hype it up and we can all get fired up, and then we can find out that both teams are at best a top 15 team. At best, not a top 10 team. We'll see. I could be wrong. But tomorrow you're playing Auburn, and the key to this game, John Mateer has to continue doing what he's doing, and Brent Venables' defense must stop Auburn. And I think they can, and I pick Oklahoma to win this ball game. Got a bunch of people getting in here. Got TM1246 in here. Good morning, Brian. Got Chase Henderson, my old buddy. May there. Good to see you. May there to you, buddy. Thanks for supporting the channel on a monthly basis. David Woody, good morning, brother. Good to see you, pal. John answers. If Kate, you're still talking about Kate, you're irritated. Don't blame you. Good to see you in here. Hemp Redmond, thanks for supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Good morning, Brian. Good to see you. Jamie Stone, good to see you, sir. I bet the orange team will win. You guess which one. Not Deering. Durkins. Fantastic. My least favorite part about tuning in while live is not being able to change it to double speed. Sorry, Swiss cheese. Listen, wait until afterwards. Turn it to 1.5, and then I'm an auctioneer. Where's Georgia Tech ranked this week? Let me look. Well, I tell you this. The easiest way is to go to ESPN. That's what I'm doing right now. You go to ESPN and just change the week to top 25. They're ranked number 18, according to ESPN. They're playing Temple this week. Chase Henderson, you want to hear something sad? The other day, I was looking for, and Chris Olson's in here. It's good to see you, buddy. I'm going to get back to the games in just a second. I'll say this real quick. I went into ESPN, and forgot that it was set to top 25. And I was looking for Clemson so I could get some of the game notes, look at the spread, look at some of the stats of, for Syracuse. And I just couldn't find them. And I realized I had it set to top 25. It is sad that here we are going into week 4 and Clemson's already out of the top 25. Really, really sad. Last, I want to make a quick announcement for anybody who is watching. I should have made this announcement at the beginning. Who remembers when I did that giveaway with 1790 knife and tool? You remember? You remember I picked 3 winners. 3 winners. First place responded immediately. Second and third place, there was faulty information entered. We've tried to contact them. Bill over at 1790, he's trying to get you these unbelievable products. So it's Scott. Let me see. It is, let me see, Scott. And yeah, Scott Stanton. And when we called your number, it said Arnold. So, Scott, if you want your second place prize, we're going to need you to please email me or reach out to 1790 Knife and Tool, because the information here is unfortunately wrong. We've tried to email. The email is not working. Also, last but not least, third place is Jason Red. We've tried to get in touch with you, and we can't, my friend. So, but please respond. I'm going to try to give this to. I tell you this, I'm going to give it till Tuesday. I'm going to announce this over the weekend, multiple times, and and if you guys don't get it, I need your actual contact information. I need y'all to reach out to us, reach out to me and/or Bill at 1790 Knife and Tool. You can go to the website. It's fantastic. And please respond, because we're going to have to pick a new second and third place winner. And I'd hate that for y'all to have to do that. But first place, we're about to ship. Bill's shipping first place. And by the way, he sent me the pictures of the case, just the case this knife is in. Holy smokes. Bill's listen, he's not doing mass production over there. You love quality. He's got that going on, but please do that. All right. Stephen P says huge beer truck unloading the Esso this morning. Yeah, I wonder why. It's like there's a game in town or something. Did you watch Texas A&M Notre Dame game? It was a really good game. I watched parts of it. That was a crazy back and forth game. All right, let's get back into college football. Top 25 for this week. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock, you have Texas Tech and Utah. Texas Tech has spent a lot of money on a lot of oil money on their roster. They're 3-0. Utah 3-0. And here's what, and they're both 17 and 16. Okay, it's 12 o'clock on Fox tomorrow. Utah's a 3.5 point favorite. Here's where I hold my breath. When Utah's supposed to be good, a lot of times they're not near as good as they're supposed to be. And sometimes they just wet the bed. Then when you think, well, they didn't win with that team last year, they're definitely not doing it this year, then they contend for a conference title. Go figure. Texas Tech, they are new to this winning thing. No, if Texas Tech fan is in here and you're one of the few that watches my channel, I'm just going to say, Texas Tech has not been that good, my friend, at winning over the past few years. So just want to say that. Just want to say that, and say that with all my little heart. This game is really a toss-up. You get up under, and I talked about this the other day, and it's a dove factor. You get under 5 points with a spread, it's anybody's game. It's anyone's game. I picked Utah to win this game because it's at Utah. I think they'll pull it together. But this is a really interesting game. Sure, it's not Georgia and Alabama, which, by the way, plays next week. When I talked about the calm before the storm next week, that's a big game. This is one that you're just sitting there staring at going, It's easy to overlook this, especially for us people in the South or maybe in the Midwest, northern Midwest, where you have Ohio State and so on. It's easy to overlook this ball game. Next up, you have Michigan at 3:30, CBS playing against Nebraska, who's 3-0. Now, Michigan's a 1.5 point favorite going into Lincoln. And I'm not blown away by either one of these teams. Dylan Raiola, he's passed for 829 yards and 8 touchdowns, but I'm just not blown away by either one of these teams. And for me, out of all the this is a sleeper game. I tell you, this is a sleeper game. This is a game that you can look at and go, and it's just so funny to see. And I've mentioned this recently as we've talked about how far Clemson has fell. How far this, Clemson has fell. I talked about Nebraska from 1969 all the way to 2001. Think about that. Think about the changes in that time frame, just in the world in general. They did not win less than 9 ball games for that long a period of time, and most of that was under Tom Osborne, right? I said that really confusing. They won at least 9 ball games from 1969 all the way to 2001. It's incredible. You look at this, you shake your head, and you go, wow. That's why, hey, listen, that's why Clemson fans are losing their mind, because they know what's going to happen. By the way, this morning I sent a post to an Instagram post. Brent Key is talking about something he heard Coach Saban say. It was something along the lines that more people die coming down from the summit of Mount Everest than either going up or what you would imagine coming down. It was a really good statement from Nick Saban, and Brent Key was referencing their win over Clemson, and that you have to stay focused. You can't let your guard down. And I think that's why a lot of us Clemson fans are really irritated right now, is because Clemson did reach the summit twice, and they let their guard down. And now we're a few plays away every game, no matter who we're playing. But that's the reason why. So when you go and you look at Nebraska, for the younger folks in here, Nebraska is not nearly as impressive. They're not even near scratching the surface what they used to be. It's crazy. Here's an upset special for you. Notre Dame's 0-2 right now, and they've played 2 very tough games at the beginning. So, and they're still ranked in the top 25. And I have mixed feelings about that. I have no ill will towards Notre Dame whatsoever. They play Purdue tomorrow at 3:30 on NBC. Purdue has Barry Odom, the former Missouri coach, the former UNLV coach from last year, who took UNLV to a really good season. Purdue is 2-1 right now. They're a 25.5 point underdog. Okay. Now, their 2 wins were against Ball State and Southern Illinois, or South Illinois, and they lost this past week to Southern Cal, 33-17, in a Big Ten matchup. Southern Cal. It still doesn't make sense to me, but hey, nothing has to make sense anymore. Nothing has to be logical. You kind of wonder if Notre Dame's going to be focused for this one, because their first 2 games were really good. Miami, Texas A&M. It was a fight. They lost by 3 points to Miami, and they lost by 1 point to Texas A&M. Literally anyone's game. It's just you kind of wonder if it's kind of underwhelming playing Purdue, because next week they have to play at Arkansas, Notre Dame I'm talking about. So that'd be interesting. That's an interesting game. Here's a game that will fly under the radar as well. Tulane at Ole Miss. You're like, Brian, Tulane, are you serious? Yeah, 3-0. 3-0 going into Oxford. Ole Miss is a 13.5-point favorite. They're replacing Austin Simmons. They replaced him this past week with that guy. God, what is his name? Chambly, I think it is. Yeah, probably butchered his name there. And he's going to get the start this week. Talking about Georgia Tech, Temple plays Georgia Tech on the CW Network, 4:30 this week. Georgia Tech's a 23.5-point favorite in this game. This is a game for a focus for them because let me tell you this. They just came out of that Clemson game, and there's a good chance that Georgia Tech could march their way all the way to November 28th against Georgia in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, if my memory serves me correct, undefeated. Here's Georgia Tech's schedule, including tomorrow. Temple, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, Duke, Syracuse, NC State, Boston College, Pittsburgh, Georgia. No Louisville, no Miami, no Florida State. All you have to do is stay focused if you're Georgia Tech. All you have to do is stay focused if you're Georgia Tech. Get in here, say hello to a few different people. Parker Henderson, my old buddy. Thanks for supporting the channel, my friend, on a monthly basis. Josh Leinert, good to see you. I thought this was the Bobby Durkin show. Who's this Brian guy? You never know, pal. You never know. I subscribe to your other channel, Hamp Redmond. Thanks for doing that, man. This is fantastic. The Battle of the Pretty Uniforms. Bill Mooney getting in here. Bill, it's good to see you, man. Oklahoma is looking like a playoff team with a very good quarterback. I'm going to pump my brakes on that. I'm going to need them to do a few more things because Oklahoma and Florida, they have the two toughest schedules in all of college football. And I'm going to tell you this, and I'm about to rattle some Clemson fans in here. I know you can't help how your conference is. I get it. I don't like to hear this from SECers either. I don't like to hear it. It drives me nuts. But I'm going to tell you right now, if this Clemson football team is moaning and groaning, mostly the coaching staff, not all of them, but some of them, is moaning and groaning about fans being upset of over 1 and 2, and 2 of those losses is to LSU and Georgia Tech, granted good football teams, you better get down on your knees in sackcloth and ashes and pluck your beard. That's a biblical reference. It was a sign, an ancient sign of showing remorse and grief and all that much stuff. That you don't have Oklahoma's schedule because this Clemson football team would probably win only 3 ball games with the mindset that's going on there. I'm sorry. So anyway, y'all go take a look at that. Y'all go take a look at that. SC Country, what's up? Good to see you, my man. Good to see you, my man. All right. Let's get in here. Going to move a little faster. Kent State plays at Florida State. You're like, why are you bringing that up? Florida State, they will play Virginia next Friday night. Then after that, they have Miami on October 4th. And this game, who knew in the preseason that Miami and Florida State would be a top 10 matchup? After that, they have Pitt, Stanford, Wake Forest, at Clemson, Virginia Tech, NC State, and Florida. I'm talking about Florida State. That's their schedule. It's crazy. It is absolutely nuts. Tomorrow, a game that is big on paper, and a lot of people's upset that ESPN is not going to be at this game. In fact, they're going to be at the Florida-Miami game. I'm going to tell you why. Because you want to talk about 2 teams who are overranked and they're surviving off of the preseason rankings. It's this game. 7:30 tomorrow night, NBC. You got Illinois at Indiana. They're both 3-0, number 9 and number 19. And just like every season, about 3 or 4 weeks from right now, I will soil my britches if either one of these teams at least one of these teams is still in the top 25. Maybe I have to put on my brown britches just to cover up. But I don't think, let me rephrase that. They won't be in the top 10. Go ahead and put that. Number 9, Illinois, no. Altmaier, solid, but good grief. Of course, I mentioned Florida at Miami. Here's the interesting thing about Miami. They've played all 3 of their games at home. They're about to play Florida at home. And then they play at Tallahassee next week. After that, they play Louisville. Now, a lot of people made fun of Carson Beck in the offseason or took shots at him. And I know why you did it, because that's what we do at times. We step back and we look at a guy who he did not perform as well at Georgia last year as he could, but the year before that, he was amazing. And so you see him transferring to a school to be with his girlfriend, then something happens, they break up. The thing that went on with one or both of his cars or something like that, and they're luxury cars, if my memory serves me correct. And everybody's just sitting around laughing, forgetting that if this guy focuses himself on football and nothing else, yes, he has to have a life. I'm not taking away from that. I don't expect him to be football 24/7, but if he stays focused, when he gets focused, Carson Beck is a massive problem. And here he is at Miami. Right now, he's already thrown for 812 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He led them to a victory over, I think, a good Notre Dame team. I know they're 0-2, but I just told you they've lost 2 ball games by a total of 3 points. Notre Dame's not bad. It's heartbreaking to lose games that close, but not taking up for them, but I'm not going to pull out a tube sock and fill it with bars and soap and start swinging at the Irish. Florida and Miami is going to be an interesting game because Florida probably did not expect Miami to be in this position right now. Miami could have easily come into this game with one loss to Notre Dame. And you'd have a 1-2 versus a 2-1. I take Miami in this game. I think Miami, they're a 9.5-point favorite, but Miami seems like they have a lot more together because of Carson Beck. And Florida is just, and people are taking shots at DJ Lagway. Listen to me. I haven't watched all of his footage, but I saw a pass he threw the other day where the defender literally took the ball from his wide receiver. At this level of football, your wide receiver is supposed to be a bloodthirsty, rabid, whacked out maniac when that ball goes up. A defender doesn't supposed to wrestle the ball. Just take the ball from them. And he did it. So Lagway could probably be better in other areas. Maybe I'm speaking a little bit out of turn, but I'm going to tell you this. If your wide receivers are not being aggressive, they're on scholarship to catch a football. He's on scholarship to put it near them, not exactly to them, near them. They're supposed to be catching it. So before you go after Lagway, you better be careful. You want to hear about Florida's schedule? For all us Clemson fans who's right now, we're trying to calm ourselves down and everything. And, we've got this. We got Syracuse. The upcoming games are nothing to really pay attention to until you get to Florida State. Can you imagine this Clemson team having to play this schedule right here that Florida will play? Listen to this. Plays Miami tomorrow. Plays Texas A&M, plays Mississippi State, which, by the way, is doing better. I'm not heralding them as an amazing team. I'm just saying they're doing better. They play Georgia. They're at Kentucky. Yeah. They play Ole Miss. They play Tennessee, and they play Florida State. And we can't even put away Troy. Used to beat the crap out of them. The coaching, let me tell you, the coaching staff that led all those the majority of those playoffs that we like to reference, that coaching staff, most of it's been long gone for a long time. I don't know, say about 5 years. Go look at it. Go look at it. Go look at it. I'm gonna tell you right now, yeah. And Oklahoma's schedule is hilarious too. Hilarious. And I'm going to say this. I'm talking about Clemson. I'm talking about Clemson here. By the way, if you're watching this, I'm simulcasting on my other channel. I'm doing this. I just want to tell you this. For my Clemson YouTube channel subscribers, I'm doing this so you can see what I'm doing on my other channel. I'm talking about college football as a whole over there. And I just wanted you to see what I'm doing. Maybe you'll want to go over there and subscribe and check it out. Because I'm talking football as a whole. Get in here, say hello to a few people. SC Country. What's up, Brian? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Just something happened. Chase, I met with some of my college teammates after last weekend's game. One of them is a GT fan. We talked about the game, and we both talked about the announcers not saying Georgia Tech being the best team in the ACC. They're pretty doggone good, man. Pretty doggone good. If Key keeps them focused. David Wood, I took FSU minus 45. It's fantastic. Broski Bear, I watched the Dabo press conference. He's definitely putting his hands up saying, Alabama or Florida, make me an offer. I'm there. It's all about getting a top-tier quarterback to lead your offense. That dictates your team's play calling. Good to see you, Grayson. I think we will know what Illinois is at this, and they're probably overrated. Indiana, we still don't really know. Yeah. Timmy is playing good behind the very good offensive line. Dale, I've been saying for a few years now that the uglier the quarterback, the better he plays. It's the decade of the ugly quarterback. No disrespect to Beck. Let me see. Good morning. Getting on through here. Good morning, Bailey BP. Good to see you, buddy. It's been a while. Army, Roll Tide. Your other channel's name? It's Another College Football Podcast. Let me see. I'm going to drop this. It's in the comment section now, and it's below this video. It should be below this video. B, happy Friday, bud. Good to see you, Noah Denton. Good to see you. If it's Riley, who should replace him? I need to sit down and look at who's actually being effective in college football and who they've been effective against. We want to bring in someone who's played big teams, and when they've played big teams, they've outcoached said big teams with really good defenses. That's what we need at Clemson. And then at the same time, that person needs to be in full control of their offense. There's no learning Clemson's offense. Clemson's offense has not been good since about 2018-ish, 2019-ish, when they played the big teams. And that's our problem. If you can scheme for the big teams, you're going to take care of Troy. You're going to take care of Duke. You would have beat Georgia Tech, right? So maybe you disagree with me. That's totally fine. But there's one thing that history is pointing out, and I'm just repeating it, so it's not even me being right. Clemson can't beat a really good football team now. So, all right, let's get back in here and let's take a look at. I tell you this. Let me go through a couple more games here. All right, Texas has a sleeper with Sam Houston. I mean, it's crazy. Vanderbilt 3-0 playing against Georgia State. The reason I bring up Vanderbilt, I'm going to tell you this. I thought that once teams had a full season of film on Diego Pavia and an entire offseason to prepare, that they would pretty much shut down this guy, right? Well, granted, he's played Charleston Southern, but he did what he did. Vanderbilt could lose games like that in the past. Now, I'm not saying Charleston Southern's good enough to beat them. They're struggling. At Virginia Tech, they blew out Virginia Tech. They went to South Carolina. Yes, Sellers went down. I watched that game, folks, and I'm telling you, even when Sellers was in, Pavia was, Sellers not playing defense now. And I told South Carolina fans, I looked them in the eye through this camera, and I said, listen, take all the Clemson out of me as much as you possibly can. When a team loses as many defensive stars as you lost this season, it is going to affect you no matter who is playing quarterback for you. And I heard from South Carolina fans, well, what you would imagine I would hear. Well, Sellers, I wasn't talking about Sellers. I was talking about your defense. He's your quarterback. Quarterback's not a position on the defense. We got Dylan Stewart. That's one guy. Diego Pavia doo-dooed all over them when Sellers was in and when Sellers was out. 31-7. So Vanderbilt playing Georgia State. They play Utah State after this. Very easy. They'll probably walk into this game at Alabama at 5-0. That's where you're going to figure out the rest of the season. You're going to figure out who's who with this team. You're going to figure out if they're for real. You're going to figure out if it makes sense. You're going to figure out if they're worth a crap, or if there's the teams they've played so far are just that terrible, right? That is where I'm at. That's where I'm at with this team. But hey, used to Vanderbilt would drop these games. They're not. But the rest of their season, their schedule's pretty rough. Alabama, I said Georgia State, Utah State, but then they play Bama, LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, and at Tennessee. Not an easy schedule at all. So it's getting crazy. I'm going to give you a glimpse of the season, or of the not the season, next week, because I'm telling you, next week you're starting to see the games ramp up. So I'm just going to quickly go through this. I'm not even doing a breakdown here. I'm just going to name out some games for next week. And the reason why I call this the calm before the storm. Now, Virginia's not an amazing team, but you have Florida State at Virginia next week. It's next Friday at 7:00. Okay. That'll be interesting at this point. Let me see. Yeah. All right. Next week, you have Southern Cal and Illinois. You have Notre Dame and Arkansas. That's an interesting game. And now you get into the meat and potatoes here. You have LSU at Ole Miss, 3:30 next week. Auburn, right now they're ranked. I think they'll drop out. I think they're going to lose tomorrow, but they'll play at Texas A&M next week. Tennessee will play at Mississippi State. Mississippi State is getting better. I did not say they're great, but they're getting better. And that's a game to watch. You have Oregon at Penn State next week, 7:30. And at the same time, over on ABC, you have Alabama at Georgia at 7:30. I told you, this is the calm before the storm. Next week, unbelievable games will be going on, and it's a who's who of college football, right? It's a who's who of leaders in college football, and I'm telling you straight up, you need to be paying attention, because we're figuring out who's who. We're figuring out who was overranked, and so on. I'm going to get in here real quick and answer some questions, then I'm going to go. Again, I'm simulcasting on both channels. I just dropped it in the comments section. I'm going to drop it again, or in the live chat. It should be below this video as well, another college football podcast. So if you're on my Clemson channel, go over there and subscribe. It's a brand new channel. I'm talking about college football as a whole. And I'm going to tell you this. Some of you ask me this, and I have this up from Merck City. And Merck City, I'm going to answer that question in just a second. I'm going to pull it down first. I'm going to say this. A lot of you, I am not a college football expert, but I do know a lot about other teams. I have a pretty good idea of who's who. And so when I offer my thoughts on Clemson, my team, I'm comparing it to other college football teams. See, if you live in the nucleus that is Clemson, you think that everything is good. When you get out a little bit and you look at how other teams are carrying themselves, better or worse, you get an idea of what's working in Clemson. And you also, this is most important, you get an idea of why things are falling apart in certain areas at Clemson. So if you want an insight into other football teams, and then you want that insight to shape how you look at Clemson, I'm telling you, that's why I come on here and I so confidently say what I say about Clemson a lot of times, and not always right, but I've had I've nailed it in a lot of moments. Why? Because I'm looking at college football as a whole. I'm not just focusing on Clemson, South Carolina. I'm not just focusing on 16 and 18. I'm not just focusing on 7 playoffs appearances, which one of them we had to get lucky. Someone had to fail for us to get in. Okay? And I know you don't like that, but it happened. And you notice that it hasn't changed anything. I'm just telling you, this is how I kind of get ahead of the curve when it comes to when it comes to Clemson. Why? Because I'm looking at college football as a whole. I'm not just a Clemson fan over here trash talking about 16 and 18. Okay? Some of y'all, if you look at college football as a whole, you'll even see this Clemson. You'll see why I'm so negative about Clemson. So go over there and check it out. If you're already on another college football podcast, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you subscribed. We need another wide receiver coach talking about Clemson. I think that, I'd never call for anyone to be fired. I hate to do that. It's just not working out. It's just not working out. We've seen Wesco drop the ball. We saw TJ Moore can't get going. Now, a few times Cade almost got him killed, but we've also seen Moore drop the football. And this has been happening at Clemson for a while. They have a good freshman season or a good sophomore season, and the next year they drop off. And it has been happening. And we can go through a list now. And it's been for years. What's the different players, but there is one common variable. And I'll leave it at that. Dabo won't go somewhere else and have better success. I love Coach Swinney. I did my whole video on this the other day, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think that he's asking to go anywhere, but he is reading Clemson fans their rights, and most of us don't want him fired. So I think that for PR purposes, he needs to salvage his reputation, and he doesn't need to do what he did the other day. Well, he's from Alabama, and he's the set. Yeah, I know a lot of people from Alabama, but they didn't win 2 national championships. He just needs to walk up there, and he needs to not say that anymore, and that needs to stop. That needs to stop, and he needs to focus on why his team is always a couple of plays away. And if for some reason, if I'm missing something and he's implying that he would like to leave and go somewhere else, Florida won't put up with that. Alabama definitely won't put up with that. So I appreciate Coach Swinney, but he's got to stop with these reading fans their rights, because most of us don't want him fired. And then next, his team has underperformed. Who do you think are likely ACC champions. Florida State, GT, LSU, Louisville. Right now, it comes down to 3 teams for me. The season will kind of check this out. Florida State, they had the incredible win at the beginning of the season, but we need to see more out of them. Miami and Georgia Tech. Those are my 3 teams right now. Louisville still has a lot to prove. Miller Moss, I have a lot of questions about him at quarterback, but we'll see. I would say that Louisville is my 4th team. Right now, Georgia Tech, Florida State, and Miami, they're definitely the ones that I'm eyeing. I would lean, even though Georgia Tech just won, I lean a little heavier towards Miami and Florida State at this point in the season. Georgia Tech, I just told you they have a pretty easy path moving forward. All they have to do is stay focused, stay healthy, and their next toughest game is a non-conference game on, I believe it's November the 28th against Georgia. So stay healthy, stay focused, you win. You have gone and done it. You have turned Peyton into a Clemson hater. If the Clemson Water offense forgets the assignments. Brian, in your opinion, who's currently the best team in college football? Right now, Oregon. In 3 weeks, that could be totally different. But right now, Oregon. Where do you stand now as far as Dabo leaving the program? I feel after seeing the press conference that it has gotten more likely he will leave in some shape or form. I think he was venting. I think he's mad. I think he's mad that everyone's mad that they're 1-2 with this roster. If my memory serves me correct, could be wrong. Y'all forgive me if I'm wrong. I don't think that the question that he was answering even dealt with that. I think it was something else. Could be wrong. But I heard, anyway, I just think he's venting. I think he's mad. And I did a video giving Coach Swinney the benefit of the doubt. Don't want Dabo fired, all that bunch of stuff. But when you're paid what you're paid and you have this roster and you've built a history of excellence, people are going to expect something out of you. And every one of you who are listening to me currently right now or who will listen to me later, while you're working your job, you have your AirPods in or something. You have expectations. And if you don't meet them, if you don't meet said expectations, and you're not paid near what he's paid, no matter how well you've done in the past, no matter how many long hours you've worked, no matter how much overtime you worked that probably you were not paid for, you did that, but you start underperforming, they fire you. I don't want him fired, but he is in a very rare place in life compared to other individuals. And him walking up there to the mic and saying what he said made himself look really bad. And in turn, it made Clemson look undesirable for recruits. And I'm just saying, it doesn't look good. Coach Swinney needs to protect his image. And when he walks up there and he says what he says, it's not doing it. Going on down, Gabe Smith, in the NFL, can a player make millions and not be replaced if they underperform? If we're going to pay our players millions, we got to get the best. I don't think Dabo would be a good fit at Florida. No, I don't think so. Hey, Brian, I love your show, but it sometimes is slow. I know Tiger. I know Tiger Red. Someone told me that a little earlier. I would go, I know it's a live stream, but afterwards, I tell you what I would do. I'd go to the gear. I think it's in the top left corner. No, top right corner. And after the live stream's done, go play it at 1.25 speed. And I don't mean that sarcastically. I would do that. A lot of my favorite speakers and teachers speak very slow. And that's what I do. I say this, and I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not talking about really me here. I'm talking about my teachers and speakers that people I listen to, I highly respect, and they speak slow. I'm more worried about content than I am how fast they speak. I really do. I'm more worried about content. And that's why a lot of people gets caught up in, and this is just side subject, and this is what makes the show slow. There's a lot of people who are easily, and I'm not talking about you, but I'm just saying in life in general, who are easily swayed by someone who can communicate really well, effectively. They're engaging, they're entertaining, but we don't consider the content they're giving us. Is it good? So I'm not saying that towards you. I'm just saying for me, I'm just focused on trying to give you the best content, and I do it slow. Maybe one day I'll get better at it. So, but there's a lot of guys out there that's brilliant at that, and their content's really good, and they effectively communicate it quick. So, but I appreciate you being here, dude. Gabe Smith, the other teams using the portal have dogs because they have more competition. If we got more out of the portal, our guys would have to try harder for playing time, making everyone better. Gabe, this is one area that I get what you're saying. I'm not going to disagree on having better players. We have the roster. We do not have the coaching. The coaching, the success that Coach Sweeney consistently points back to is with a coaching staff that the most of them are gone. That was under a coaching staff that most of them were gone. And it happened at about the same time the NIL, the change of coaching happened about the same time the NIL and the portal. Yep. Kicked up. So everybody is thinking that it's the portal and NIL. Not saying that it's not. I'm just saying, is this a coaching issue? Gear, playback speed, whatever speed you like. Yeah, Swiss cheese. Going a little faster. BK isn't slow. He is talking so fast, he seems to talk in slow motion. Hey, it is what it is. I never thought of it that way. Yes. My mouth is moving so fast, it's slow. It's like a massive, I'm not saying David Wood says you do a good job, Brian. I'm not saying he does a good job. Hey, guys, I appreciate it. Hey, you know what, Tiger Red Devil? I wish that I were better at saying things more concise. I really do. But can I tell you this? Most of the time I'll come on here, I just have a subject in mind and I go with it. I'll research a little bit and then I just come on and I roll. So this is a long video too, 52 minutes, but we're just talking about college football as a whole. I think we need a Dabo news conference like you did for Will Muschamp years ago. By the way, that was outstanding. Thank you. I know what you're talking about, my friend. Yeah. All right. I'm sending an email. Travis Hamrick came on the other day. Let me tell you this guy. He's in depth. It's all about Dabo hiring. All right, folks, listen. I'm going to let y'all go. I am going to put it in this message one more time. I have simulcast on purpose. I have simulcast on purpose. So my Clemson channel subscribers, I have over 8,000 of them. We'll see what I do on another college football podcast. And I hope you'll go over there and subscribe. I just placed it in the live chat. Should be below this video. Folks, I'm telling you, if you're a Clemson fan, this will show you why I approach Clemson the way I do, because I'm looking at the college football teams. I'm looking at what they're doing. And I am looking at what Clemson's not doing. And I'm going to tell you, if you only pay attention to Clemson and right now you feel bad, start paying attention to other college football teams and what's working, and then start to pay attention to the hype of teams and then how they always fizzle out. Then you start to dive into their rosters. I don't know, like the Gamecocks. And all you heard in preseason, they're going to be a contender for the national championship. And you heard about Sellers, you heard about Dylan Stewart, you heard about Nick Carter, and those guys are talented, unbelievable talented. I don't care if they're Gamecock or not, but listen to me. No one talked about like those 8 players, that starters they lost, something like that on the defense. And now you see it come to fruition. That's what happens when you just dive a little deeper, and it answers a lot of questions. Folks, y'all be good. Y'all take care of yourself. And as always, well, on one channel, go Tigers. And on my